eventually we're all on the buses, and there's 5 buses, and they're getting ready to go back. I'm typically on bus 1, Drew's across from me, Joe Vitt's right there. We've got a little cooler. You kind of head down the highway, and the highway's cleared, so the week of the Super Bowl, you get like this presidential motorcade. So they're literally miles ahead of you, and you kind of like want to slow down because let's just enjoy this ride. And you're flying right through the middle of all the traffic, and it's just one of those moments where you're just kind of like, you don't even want to say anything. You don't have to say anything. And pretty soon you're at the hotel, and the next thing you know, you're getting up in the morning, and it's all a blur, you know, and then you're exhausted, you're flying home on Monday.
My mom and 2 of my brothers were there, and that was really the first thing I thought about, you know, was trying to find her and you know, be able to share that moment with them. You know, it was a really special moment. I started, you know, I was a football fan since I was, you know, 4 years old. I started playing when I was 7, and, you know, those guys have always been a part of that journey. So, you know, to be able to share that with them, you know, in that moment in time, man, is, you know, that's what it's all about.
Just to know, like, coming all the way from Prattville, Alabama, and where, you know, I don't just represent my family or me or my University of Alabama, but everybody from your hometown is so happy and proud of you. Like, those are the things that you just don't understand, how many people you affect with what you do on a day-to-day basis, and how many people are cheering for you. And, you know, that 2nd grade teacher that you might have hated, they're rooting for you because you're one of them. And you represent everybody from where you're from when you go out there and with that jersey on.
Mr. B's reaction was probably as good as anyone, just to that elation. And man, it's a lifetime achievement for him. You know, because obviously he had owned the team for a lot of years and had gone through some good years and some lean years, but never a championship. And so for him to accomplish that, you know, later in life is particularly gratifying. And seeing his reaction and how people in the city, you know, reacted to him, that's pretty special.
It was cold. It was cold. It was cold. It was cold.
Guys were in hoodies and jackets and skull caps but about 100 yards into the parade, it wasn't cold anymore. I mean, there was just so many people and the excitement. It was a party, man. I mean, it was a great party, and there was a lot of places where you just couldn't see road or anything beyond where you were just because it was just a monsoon of people. It was awesome.
It was a party. It was a party, and you know, those that were there definitely know that I was enjoying myself.
I think that Super Bowl parade was the most epic thing I've ever been, epic thing I've ever been a part of.
I remember at one point, you know, we kind of did the long, you know, ride on the float, and we get to this turnabout where we're turning around, and you know, Jonathan was right next to me, and I remember we kind of looked at each other, and I think we both knew what the other was thinking. All right, we got to jump off this thing and get into the street with our people. So sure enough, we just jump off the side of the float. Our security was going nuts. They were so mad at us. We're like, don't worry about it, we got this. So we just celebrated in the streets with our people for, you know, a good 10 minutes before security finally gets us back to get back up on the float. But yeah, it was just, it was a meaningful time because that was a chance to be back with them at home and recognizing what was accomplished together, you know, that sense of togetherness. We never took them for granted, and to be able to, I think, come back and have that moment with them, it was some good stuff.
It's hard to envision like a better Super Bowl parade, but like this city does parades for a living. That's what they do, right? And so everyone else will have a flatbed trailer, and you watch them, and so the game ends on Sunday. We've traveled back Monday, and I think it might be Tuesday night. It was kind of cold, but they're a week and a half, 2 weeks away from Mardi Gras, and so they have every one of these floats, all the crews lined up, the kickers are in the Muse's shoe. I mean, it's like, you can't even make that up. So that was an unbelievable night.
For me, I couldn't believe it, man. Little guy from Louisiana, man. Played my whole career in Louisiana, and you know, got a Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints, my childhood favorite team. You know, most of the people in my family are Saints fans, and it was just a great thing, man. And it's something that can't ever be replaced.
I have grown men. Grown men will come up to me and they'll be crying. It's crazy.
I think for the longest time it took for me to really grasp, and I think it really took for me not playing with the Saints anymore, even being on different teams since then, to really understand what my role was and how significant it played. But to me, I was just a part of the greater picture, and I was ultimately the final piece of the puzzle in the NFC game. Looking back at it though, I'm like, that's pretty awesome. XLIV, Super Bowl champions, so doesn't get any better than that.
I remember the bags on the head, I remember the Aints, I remember Bobby Hebert, I remember it all. Dome Patrol, I remember all that. And me being a Saints fan, I still, like every Saints fan, you always stand behind your team saying, okay, this year is going to be different, this year is going to be different.
We're an organization that had been through so many tough years, not just on the football field, but the tragedy with Hurricane Katrina and all the kind of the negativity that was here, to do something that was obviously a positive, but to be inspiring and to make a community happy and smile and be proud. I think that is kind of the icing on the cake. And those are gonna be my guys forever.
We did it together, we did it collectively, and we did it in a fashion that may never be done again. To be able to win a Super Bowl 4 years after Hurricane Katrina, I hope it's never done again, because that means another city would have to go through that same devastation. And so I think for the city of New Orleans, it just meant we finally arrived. We're finally here, and we're finally, now, we're finally on the map now.
You don't get that feeling very often. Like I said, maybe when you graduate from high school or college, or when you get married, or you have a child. That's the type of feeling it is that they don't come very often in lifetimes, and it's pure joy, a sense of accomplishment. It's particularly great because so many people share in it. Coaches, players, the organization, our fans. I think that's part of what makes it special, is that so many people have a piece of it. I read a book, I think it was James Michener, that wrote it. It was about sports, and there's a passage in there about once you win a championship, whether it's in high school or college or whatever, professional sports, man, you're a champion forever. And I think there's some truth to that. Is it, and you can always, it's in your memory bank. It's in your it becomes part of your DNA. Is that, man, you're a champion.
You are addicted to doing it again. Like, and so one of the things I'd say, if you as a player think about, like, create a vision in your mind of what it's like to play and win a Super Bowl. I want you to do that, everyone. And what if I told you it's 100,000 times better than that? And it's like, wow. And it is. So I'm obsessed with doing it again.